Here's a point that needs to be made. A lot of people in the gaming community are easily tricked, easily manipulated by good PR. I just think it's so silly how people foam at the mouth and like to throw praises up in the air whenever, let's say, Sony congratulates Nintendo, or Sony and Microsoft, they both congratulate Nintendo on the launch of the Switch last year. Uh, Sony and Microsoft keep congratulating each other publicly on Twitter, acknowledging each other's successes, and oh my god, it's so great. We got friendly competition finally after so many brutal years of console wars where the console manufacturers are going at each other's throats, and you have so many people in the console community going at each other in the console wars. They keep insulting people. It's just so toxic. But Sony and Microsoft, they're a good role model for console gamers. They're being so friendly to each other. Oh, it's so nice to see friendly competition for once. Friendly competition. You know what all that is, right? It's nothing but PR crap. And let me explain to you why. So, what inspired me to talk about this is the recent it's like on the top page of N4G right now is Microsoft's Mike Ybarra shows his support for God of War and states that he is a gamer first. Aw, isn't that sweet? That's so sweet, right? Microsoft is congratulating Sony on God of War and how successful it is. Oh, isn't that so nice, that friendly competition? Doesn't that make you want to buy an Xbox One right now and support Microsoft? Even though this just emphasizes the point that people are trying to get at, that Microsoft and Xbox have no exclusives. How about instead of praising your competition for actually having a successful console, actually having exclusives and having these critically acclaimed 10 out of 10 games, how about instead of throwing praise at Sony for such a good job they did with God of War, how about you actually take notes from them and do your damn job and actually be competitive? Because the Xbox has no exclusives. The Xbox this generation totally failed. It failed to even make a dent this generation, and I'm honestly astonished that it even sold as much as it did. I think it sold about 30 million units, and the PS4 is 80 million strong. I'm surprised the Xbox One even sold that much because it's not a very enticing platform. There's no reason. Literally, name one reason to buy an Xbox One over a PlayStation 4. I'll wait. And no, this isn't me being, I'm a Sony pony, I'm a Sony fanboy. No, I just like to call it how it is. I thought that the Xbox 360 during the first half of the 7th generation was better, much better, vastly superior to the PlayStation 3. But then Sony wised up and actually started making games. What do you know? And that's how the PlayStation 3 ended up becoming at least just as good as 360. I would say a little bit more just because there were so many great exclusives in the Xbox. It was pretty much a Halo and a Gears of War box. They had so many exclusives going, in the beginning. You had so many exclusives the first few years because PlayStation didn't have any. So, of course, you had a whole bunch of exclusives because a whole bunch of companies just didn't even want to work with Sony. And I guess you can count them as exclusives, but first-party in-house exclusives is pretty much a Halo and Gears of War box. That's what the Xbox is. And that's kind of what it's been this generation. You had one Halo game released this generation that wasn't very critically acclaimed. You had Gears of War 4, which also a lot of people didn't really like that much, and also you gave it away to PC. So Gears of War 4 isn't even exclusive. But that's a whole nother conversation. Even if you include PC games as exclusives, which you shouldn't because, like I said previously, games that are on more than one platform is not an exclusive. It disqualifies itself from actually being an exclusive. There's so many idiots in the gaming community that don't even know the definition of an exclusive, so it's kind of sad that this has to be explained. But again, that's not even the focal point of my conversation. Let's say even if you have exclusives, if you want to count PC games as exclusives that are on the Xbox because you can't get them on the PlayStation 4, Sony is still kicking your ass this generation. You have no enticing exclusives. Sea of Thieves came out earlier this month. Did it get any 10 out of 10 reviews from what I can tell? No. Game's a buggy mess and it had no content in it. So how about instead of praising your competition, which pretty much admits that it admits a bigger point here, that Microsoft does not know what the hell they're doing anymore. They don't. They had the right idea with the original Xbox. The 360 was just killing it. It was the best console on the market for the longest time. And then with the Xbox One, maybe they got arrogant like Sony did in the beginning of the 7th generation because of how amazing the PS2 did. Maybe it's Microsoft just had that same mentality because, well, it's an Xbox, so people are going to buy it. You know, the Xbox 360 did so well, so people are going to buy Xbox One. We don't need to worry too much about the PlayStation 4. Yeah, how well did that turn out for you? And then you didn't do what Sony did in the middle of the 7th generation and started pumping out exclusives left from right to actually be able to compete. What are you guys doing to compete? Absolutely nothing. So let's talk about this PR shit, this PR bullshit, because that's what it is. Don't think it's actually them being gamers and wanting to support all platforms and, you know, thinking that all gamers should be holding hands singing Kumbaya, because Microsoft has been making a few consumer-friendly decisions over the past few years to try and compete. But again, exclusives matter. When you have no exclusives, you don't have any reason for people to go to your platform over the other. You can tout how, oh, you can play old games now on our new console, but that's not enough to get people to buy your console instead of, your competitor that actually releases exclusive new games. So you can start a whole PR campaign, Microsoft, and try to talk about how great your platform is and how it's so consumer-friendly. Yeah, that's exactly what Sony did in the beginning. And eventually people were able to see right through it. That Sony, you really think they actually care about... Do any of these companies actually care about the gamer? No. Nintendo included. None of these companies actually give a shit about the gamer. So Mike Ybarra, who claims to be a gamer first, and seems to be so for gamers, so he's going to praise God of War and show his support. Okay, if you're showing support for the gamer, and you claim to be a gamer first, and employee at Microsoft second, then where were you when Don Matrick was around? Because I'm pretty sure you were part of Microsoft back then, and you were working with Xbox back then. So, yeah, you were still with the company. You were with the company at that point. Where were you when Xbox pretty much had a gamer last mentality and pretty much did every single thing wrong? Every single policy they had was just completely anti-consumer. It was just, okay, we're going to do away with used games, which, you know, is one thing. I mean, because Steam doesn't have used games, but you don't consider Steam to be anti-consumer, right? But it went a step further. Always on, always watching, connect 24/7, can never be turned off. If you want to play your games, you must have the Kinect plugged in, and the camera is on. And then, oh yeah, mandatory 24-hour check-ins. It wasn't an Xbox, it was a fucking George Orwell 1984 box. That's what the Xbox One was, initially. Then they eventually reversed it, but where are you, Mike, who claims to be a gamer first, when they were doing all this shit? This is just PR bullshit. The corporate vice president of gaming at Microsoft claims to be a gamer first. Yeah, okay. Does anyone actually buy that shit? Does anyone really buy that? You have to realize these companies are pro-consumer and spout pro-consumer rhetoric and come out with all these policies that are for the gamer until they win. When they win, they don't do that because they have no reason to. You have to understand this is a market economy. They are doing these things. They are creating incentives for people to be attracted to their platform. Oh, yeah, we have backwards compatibility now. You guys like that, right? Because backwards compatibility, really, I mean, yeah, sure, it makes the money because Xbox 360 games are being put on the Xbox Store now and it increases the game's library, and, of course, it would increase more software sales. But at the end of the day, if they were on top and they decided, okay, we're going to do this backwards compatibility feature, right? But you can't actually put your disc in the console. That's most likely what they would have done if they were the ones on top right now and Sony wasn't. You know how I know that? Because that's what Sony is doing right now with the PS2. If you put your disc in, it doesn't work. But they somehow have some PS2 emulation going on the PlayStation Store. Oh, yeah, you could buy PS2 classics. Yeah, we're going to sell the games back to you that you already bought. No one's going to complain because we're on top. We're number one. What are you going to do about it, bitch? Oh, yeah, we're on top now. We don't need free online anymore. We can charge $60 too. We know we're going to kick Xbox's ass because it's pretty much a George Orwell 1984 box. So we can do whatever the fuck we want because we know that people are going to buy our console instead. So no, this is not me being a Sony fanboy or me trying to single out Microsoft. The only reason why I'm singling out Microsoft in this particular case is because this whole Mike Ybarra praising God of War thing is what made me decide to talk about this whole thing in the first place. Don't be fooled by console manufacturers' PR nonsense. Because once they're on top, once they beat their competition, all their pro-consumer features that they've been having, they're nowhere to be found. Like free online, oh, that's so pro-consumer. And then Sony's on top now. Oh, where's the free online? You think that's a coincidence? You think if Sony was still struggling to sell consoles that they would charge $60 a year for online? I think you got to be a pretty big fucking idiot to think otherwise. There's just someone that doesn't realize how the markets work and what company incentives to do things. They are all based on incentives. They think that if they do this, they're going to make money in the long run. Not because they do it from the bottom of their hearts. They did backwards compatibility from the bottom of their hearts at Microsoft. They did Xbox Game Pass from the bottom of their hearts. Oh, it's such a great value. And it is a great value. I think it's actually much better service than PlayStation Plus. And it's a better value than PlayStation Plus. But let's also not forget that the same company that's, seems so pro-consumer with all the things that they're doing and saying, all these features that they're adding on that the PlayStation 4 doesn't have, and all this nice stuff that they're saying about their competitors. Oh, they're so friendly. They're so pro-consumer. They just have the gamers' interests and hearts. Oh, and they're putting games on PC, which is just, it's not even good marketing, but they think it's good marketing, but it's not. It's going to end up killing the Xbox brand, which we will talk about next time. But keep in mind, the same exact company, the same exact brand that is acting all pro-consumer now that they're losing and they're getting their asses kicked. Just a few years ago, they paid Electronic Arts $250 million to not put their game on the PlayStation 4. I mean, Sony does the same exact thing. Don't get ourselves fooled. Again, whichever company is the most pro-consumer tends to be the one that is on the losing side of the console war. Why is that? Because they need some way to try and level out the playing field to attract more customers to their product. Because if they continue their shady practices and don't change, or if they don't do some things, some goodwill things for their consumers, then there's no reason to go to them over their competition, which is kicking their ass. The point I'm trying to make is, don't be fooled. Anyone thinking that any company, no matter what industry we're talking about, we can talk about the fucking porn industry, we can talk about whatever fucking industry you want to talk about. Any company, if you think any company is looking out for their customers, is looking out for the common person, you're completely fucking delusional. I'm sorry, but you're fucking delusional if you actually think that these companies actually give a fuck about you. You think they actually give a fuck about you. They just care about how much money you can make them. And don't be twisted. This isn't me saying these companies are awful or them trying to make a profit is evil. I'm a capitalist. I believe in the free market. I am not like some fucking these people you see on YouTube and on the internet saying these companies are evil, these companies are awful, you should never support them. That's not what I'm trying to say here. It's not like that kind of rhetoric that you're always hearing on the internet from certain individuals who shall not be named. But I just think more consumers need to be more aware of their actual relationship between them and corporations that they buy products from. They are not altruistic, these companies. They are for-profit corporations, and that's just the way things are. Companies are not your friends. You're not hanging out with Phil Spencer. You're not hanging out with whoever's in charge of Nintendo now. I don't even remember because Satoru died. Mike Ibarra. All these people, you're not hanging out with them on a fucking Saturday night, man. Like, stop acting like these people are your friends or these corporations are your friends. So that's one responsibility that you have. That's the only responsibility that a consumer has, is just to not be fooled, to be more aware of the actual relationship that is taking place between the consumer and the corporation. They're not your friend, and they don't have to be. They're a business, and their only function is to generate a profit. But on the other end, that doesn't mean that consumers should fucking be idiots and take everything that the business says seriously and trust them. You shouldn't trust anything that they say. So, yeah, people need to understand this.